Question: were the mythical creatures of ancient times the imaginations of men, or were they spirit beings that existed on the earth in the bodies that ancient artwork depicts?
What we call mythological lore is absolutely history. Just think about the absurdity of creating an entire culture around a story and building statues to the story,
like
and building edifices, building these huge buildings to a story. No, these were beings that existed. Like Genesis says, these were the heroes of old, men of renown, right? And so they led mankind away from the Most High, right? And that's another thing too, the 10 Commandments. And we should pause and think when we read it. The first commandment.
We warn people, rabbit trails, that's okay.
The first commandment, I think of it as we glean over such things and we just don't give it any thought because the pastor said it.
Okay, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
10 Commandments. Where are we going with this?
So it says, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Nope.
What? Huh? What?
So we assume little idols.
Yeah, we assume, well, because I love technology, it's a God. No, he's talking about literal gods. The same, he says in Psalm 82, I say you are gods, but you shall die like any other man. Okay? So this is the Most High saying they are gods in the scripture.
So I think we get tripped up when we say, I have called you gods, but you will die like any other man. He goes, oh, he's calling leaders of the earth, human leaders of the earth, gods.
No, it says Elohim. So
in our minds, we elevate ourselves to,
spirit being, right? Strong shepherd. I say you're a strong shepherd, but you're gonna die like any other man.
So in other words, it's kind of like that curse put on the snake. Yeah, you think you're high and mighty, but I'm gonna push you down.
It's the same thing.
And to push you down means you are going to be, you wouldn't have to push man down.
Right.
You would have to push an angel down and say, yeah, you're not even at the level of man, so
Right, well that's the other thing, right? You're gonna be lower than man. How dare you, right?
So that makes sense. Yes. That's an insult then. That is an insult. And eat what man's refuse, because that's what you are. You're the dust of the earth when you die. The scriptures, although they're definitely important that we read them, they weren't written to us. They were written to a people that knew the backstory. It's just like I was accused when I was teaching this in a church. You're teaching new things. No, I'm teaching ancient things. These are the things that I'm talking about are ancient. And they're before Genesis was written. Because remember, mankind had already existed when God took the Hebrews out and I'm going to create a nation, and right? And so now we're creating a nation. We need laws. We need laws. Here's God's ways of doing things. Right? And so these things are very ancient and that they fill in the blanks, they give us details, again, in the extra-biblical text, the apocryphal books. We've got cultural differences, we've got idioms, we've got language barriers, translation differences, right? One that's very important, we didn't mention, in Genesis, there's a section where it says, and Seth had a son, and he named him Enosh. These were the days when men began to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay, that's a very poor translation because the actual Hebrew is halal, kara, b'shem, Yahweh. Okay, so halal means profane, means disregard. Okay, and so the only types of scripture, the only versions of Bible that we find a correct version is in basically a Hebrew Bible and the ISV, I believe. But the point is that as we come into even newer versions of the Bible, it gets even further away from the truth. It starts saying this is when men began to worship the name of the Lord. Halal means disregard, profane. And so that, to me, that statement is where we get the sons of Seth doctrine. And so that's errant. It's a bad translation of the original Hebrew.